Hey, come on. Come on. What? Here we go, here we go, here we go now. Let's chit chat, this is the show now. Come on. Bad black mama's gonna let you know now. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Come on. Let's chit chat, let's chit chat, let's chit chat, sis. Hey, what's up? Let's chit chat, let's chit chat, let's chit chat, sis. Hey.
Hey, ladies, how is everything going?
Everything's good.
Fabulous.
Going
What's that
well.
fabulous?
Doing good, doing good.
Y'all don't sound like everybody.
Trying to manifest. I'm trying to manifest.
You like everything all
That-
right. Is
Make it till you make it, right?
Yes, right.
Where the excitement at?
Doing wonderful, doing wonderful.
What?
Doing
Doing what?
great.
Love?
Doing wonderful.
Like my grandma used to say, we in the land of the living.
Yes.
We
Yes.
just wonderful. We above ground.
Go the other way.
Wonderful. So we are on here tonight, season 4. Can y'all believe it? Season 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a labor of love. I'm gonna tell you,
Yeah.
labor of love. So, you know, Tamika, you was on here last season when we was wrapping it up. Celeste and Keisha, y'all.
Mhm.
But we have a guest on tonight, and I'm so proud that she's on here. She's my sister girl from my grade school. I'm not my grade school. What in the world? My high school.
High school.
Hallahan, and she's also a North Philly girl, just like me. You know, we ride it out to the end. So that's right. Wherever we go in the world, everybody knows you're from North Philly.
Yes.
You know, you could be the classiest person, but something is gonna come out your mouth. You're gonna say John. You're gonna say, you know what I mean? You're gonna say something, and so everybody's gonna know you from North Philly. But I'm so glad to have you on here tonight, Tracy. And you know, we have had plenty of guests like in all our seasons. And this season we're going to kind of mix it up a little bit. We're going to have more authors because Celeste is an author too. And we're just going to change the narrative. You're actually going to be our first author that we kind of just talk to you about your fabulous book.
Honored.
So again, before I get to the point where I get too far down the road, I just want to have you just give us a little brief description of you know what I mean, you, because see, I know that you are entrepreneur extraordinaire, you know what I mean, who has had her business for over 32 plus years. Okay, so I'm not gonna steal your thunder. It's time for you to tell us about you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much. Like
welcome.
you said, no matter how professional with our Catholic school education, college
That's
education, someone will still know by something that we say that we are from North Philly, North Philadelphia. And I just had a young lady the other day. We were just having a general conversation about somebody was from Baltimore, somebody was from South Philly. And she said, the lady over there with the glasses, she sounds like she's straight from North Philly. And I looked and I'm like, who is she talking about? She said, you. You know, you talk like you straight from North Philly. So I take that as an honor to be from North Philly. To come out of the trenches of North Philly and still be in my right mind.
Well, born and raised.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. So who is Tracy Lynn Calhoun? Tracy Lynn Calhoun is, let's see, a woman of God.
Amen.
She is a hairstylist by day.
That's right.
First job, then a travel agent by night, and then an author in between all of that. So my love for journaling and writing and reading developed, of course, when I was younger, and it just didn't just happen. It's been a part of, you know, who I am and who I've developed and become to be. So as Kim mentioned, entrepreneur for over 30 plus years, 32 years, I believe, all again, through the grace of God.
That's right.
Through the grace of God. It wasn't even my plan. I was on my way to Howard University to study radio, television, and film. Wow. And somehow I ended up in beauty school. I thought I was going to major in that, minor in accounting. Had no idea that I would become a hairstylist. And
you know, and I'm
just
glad you said that though, Tracy, because
Mhm.
no one would have known that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I assumed that that was something that you know, that that was just your passion and that well,
And I just desired to be
just
a
desired it.
hairstylist.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I couldn't even do my own hair. This little mixed race little girl with this curly hair, half straight, not knowing what to do with it, trying to use my mom's straightening comb to press my edges, to lay them down, burnt my whole hairline out when I was younger, trying to, you know, fit in, and didn't know that that was my passion. I would spend hours in the bathroom trying to style my hair just to get two braids, just to get a ponytail.
And it's funny you
But it was
say
in
that
me.
because
It was in me.
that's funny how that you say that, because I always said when I was younger, my mom is also mixed too, Tracy, and
Mhm.
she couldn't do hair well. I'll just say that much. And I used to go to a hairstylist when I was a little thing with my sister. Both of my sisters, my oldest sister, she was always so kind hearted. My middle sister was like, you know, when you got close siblings, we always fought. And we used to have to ride out there on the L to this older gentleman. That's all I'm gonna say. And all I knew is when I walked in the door, it would be smoke, you know. And I used to cry on the L and be like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. He used to be eating pumpkin pie with, as he straightened your hair, he used to have all this stuff on his hand. And I always said, I'm gonna figure out how the heck to do my own hair, because
I
let
know
me
that's
tell
right.
you, he was like, okay, this and I'm gonna jump off of this. Y'all remember the Vigoro when you had to put, oh my God, it did absolutely
The
nothing.
smell of it,
I
right?
mean, I was under the dryer, I
It
had a
was
cone
damaged.
head like this.
The hairstylist damaged me.
Yeah,
That's
it made
it,
me
right?
traumatized.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'm going to groove into that. But you know, we're here tonight because we're going to tap into your author side. But before I get started, I want to ask you guys a question, because this is always something, and I'm an avid reader too. This is always something that I always ask sisters, like if I'm in a group and we just having girl time, who is your favorite Black female author? Because there's a lot of them.
I have a few. You want me to start?
Yeah, I want you to start.
Okay, I have a few. One is oh God, why is her name escaping me? Oh, Jewel Diamond Wiggins.
Mm-hmm.
Jewel Diamond Wiggins. Nikki Giovanni.
Nikki Giovanni, yes.
Oh my God, the list can go on, but I started when I was younger, Kim, I went to the library. You know, the library was right near Hallahan, right
Mm-hmm.
across the street from Hallahan. But even prior to that, my sister was a librarian.
Okay.
And so I grew up in the library. So it was authors that I don't even know their names, but I would just pick up the book, not necessarily start at the beginning or the end, or even reading, you know, I would just open the book and just start reading it. So it's a lot of inspiration that I got from authors that I don't even remember their names, but those two names just came to me.
So the reason why I say that is because now we got a new famous author, Tracey Calhoun. So we're gonna add that to our list. And reading is always for me, and for me and my sisters, because we used to have limited time. We could look at TV. You know, it was like you had like a 30-minute block. Do y'all remember that? 30-minute block?
Absolutely.
So then you had to go read. I enjoyed reading. My sister didn't like reading. She wanted to play with figurines or something, but she didn't like it. But I used to read, and it used to be like my takeaway from just the world. You know what I mean? And I used to spend a lot of time with my grandma, and I would be reading. My grandma said, "Your finger's gonna be stuck to the book. Why you got so many books? Why you got so many different books?" But it was so relaxing to me. And the reason why I wanted you to come on here, Tracy, is because your book to me is so inspirational. When I read it, and everybody have their own opinion on what they want to ask you tonight. But when I read it, I could tell you for myself, it was so relatable. It was healing. Well, that's the biggest thing. It was healing, because I think that mental health is not really the headliner for especially women of color. And when I was reading the book, I kind of took myself almost in a journey where okay, your childhood, you know what I mean? You became an entrepreneur, and wow, what happened? You know what I mean? What happened where things started to turn? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Where I think as women of color, we take a lot of things on and we put a lot of things on our back. And what
Mhm.
was motivating where you kept saying you kept going to work. You know what I mean? You kept doing your day in and day out. And I'm gonna tell you something. If I miss 2 days of sleep, I'm calling out from work because I
Mhm.
gotta sleep. You know, and you went a long period of time without sleeping, but you still was hustling and keep going and keep going. So from everybody on the outside, and even myself reading your book, I was like, this is really something that I know that I went through lots of bouts of not feeling my best, feeling
Mhm.
depressed, taking, seeing a doctor, getting medication, because I'm just not feeling my best. But I'm
Mhm.
not gonna steal the thunder. I have to like let all the sister girls on here talk about your book, Tracy, because and we just have a couple questions of how your road to creating this magnified um, delicate book
Mhm.
came into play. So Keisha, I know you
Well,
got a lot of questions. This
Keisha
Keisha,
got questions.
Keisha the question, Lady Tracy.
Listen, we were
No
talking
problem.
about it
No, my first
earlier.
thing, nice to see you and meet you again.
You
And I
too.
really enjoyed your book. My thing that kept resonating with me with the book is how did you develop your strong faith? And was it always there as a little girl? I know we, as children, we're introduced to Christ young. We go to Sunday school, we go to church. But it seems to me throughout this book that your faith was a little deeper. How did that come
Mhm.
about? Where did that come from?
That's a very good question. And that's what I was going to, when Kim was speaking, I was going to allude to the journey and the time of me when I first developed what was insomnia. I thought what
Mhm.
was a stomach ache, what was, disoriented, not understand what's going on around me, losing interest in what I became my passion with, being a hairstylist. I lost interest in wanting to go to work, but the will inside of me, and that was the God in me,
Mhm.
um, that I give 100% credit to my mother.
Mhm.
My mom passed when I was 21,
Oh wow.
and she left me with everything I needed at
Mhm.
21. I didn't know that at
Mhm.
the time, but she instilled my faith. Even when I didn't want to go to church, she's like, oh, you're going to get up. I don't care what time you came in Saturday night, you're going to get up and you're going to go to church.
Mhm.
And she also taught me it wasn't necessarily about going to church, but it was about having a relationship with God.
Right.
So we would have church at home before we even went to the church building.
Mhm.
And no matter what my mother did, no matter what she said out her mouth, that, you talk to your kids the way you talk to your kids, and
Mhm.
no, she, do as I say, not as I do.
Absolutely.
Don't drink, don't smoke. It's not good for you. Don't get
Right.
tattoos. Don't do this.
Mhm.
Don't do that. Even if she did all of that, she was telling me, don't do that.
Mhm.
And because I love and honored my mom so much, and then Kim, again,
Mhm.
I watched my mom go through life
Mhm.
as a young woman, right?
Mhm.
Running a restaurant, operating a restaurant,
Mhm.
taking care of people, homeless people, family.
Mhm.
My mom had 5 children. I was the last of 5 children.
Mhm.
Um, Watching my mom just be a mom,
Right.
be a friend, be a sister, be an auntie to
Mhm.
everybody. Everybody called my mom in the neighborhood.
Mhm.
Watching her, I would say, is where I learned how to be strong, how I learned to have that strength, because I
Mhm.
watched it, I saw it. And then the God part with her, um, always acknowledging God, always saying, it's not me. I didn't do that. You better thank God for that food, or thank God
Mhm.
for those clothes. It wasn't me.
Right.
God gave it to me.
That's
So
right.
I heard it. It was in my ears. It was in my face.
That's it.
And as I was able to, when I needed it, and it was being developed. And then
Mhm.
when she passed away and I thought life was over,
Mhm.
um, it wasn't. because it was in me to tap into my faith.
Mhm.
And I'll just say this part, prior to my mom passing, it was the same year
Mhm.
that I ended up in a mental hospital. So in the beginning of the year, I was in a mental hospital. At the end of the year, my mom passed away.
Oh, wow.
So again, not understanding and being in a state of confusion,
Mhm.
I had that innate ability in me to say, God, help me. Like, I don't know what this is. The doctors can't help me, but I need you to help me. And it was just me going inward. And that's why the title of the book, Miracles, Signs, and Wonders, Healing from the Inside Out.
Mhm.
And
I
then
love
overcoming
that.
depression is what he did. But it was the healing from the inside out that truly helped me.
I love that. Celeste, you wanted to say something?
So I guess I wanted you hit into it, so you saved my question, but I wanted to make sure that the viewers who did not get an opportunity to read it could follow what was going on. And I was going to ask you to kind of tell them what this book was about, but you tapped into a lot of that just now. So yeah, because if they didn't read it, they wouldn't know how,
And we want you to read it because we don't want to just go on just what we saying and what we enjoyed. We want you to read it,
absolutely,
because it's an easy read. And I would even advise this down. You know what I was thinking, Tracy, too? I'm gonna be honest. When I finished reading this and I was just compiling like just how I thought this episode should go, I was just saying to myself, I know that we talked about this in just our call before. I know that you're going to make a part 2 to this book. But this book right here is should be shared with even like your like young adults coming in, teenagers, because I think that transition in life, regardless, and we are just in such peril times, is so exasperating now that you got to catch them young. And one thing that hit me was what you said about your mom. Times are so different now because what my mom used to tell me, what your moms used to tell you, that was the gospel. It was no gray area there. What you did once you left her house, I mean, that's a whole different story. But when you went to her bosom, there's no playing around with that, so I can see that the persuasion of your mom was great on you. It was really great. And that is I say this to my kids. Everything I've given you as babies, teenagers, and so ever, I embedded into you. When you get grown and make your own decisions, I can guarantee you're gonna come back to what I showed you. You know what I mean? And when I read your book and I read the things that you were going through, I feel like, as all of us do, we have our search for God. You know what I mean? Like, God, where are you at when the times are so difficult? God, can you help me and reach out and spare me from going through challenging times? God, what do you need from me to do to be loyal and faithful to you? And I think your book has a lot of these directions because you're so transparent. Like, to tell somebody you was in a mental institution, people could take that in all different kinds of ways. I really probably wouldn't care, but I'm just saying people could take it in all different kinds of ways. You see what I'm saying? And instead of getting the light, the blessing from it, you know what I mean? And the deliverance from it, people can take it in so many different ways. So let me stop rambling. Tamika, what's your question?
So my question is, now I know Tracy, but I got to know Tracy differently through reading the book. And for instance, one of the things that really touched me was with your grandma. And from the first call to the second call, because as a recovering grudge holder and someone who wears their
recovering grudge holder,
I like how you worded it. My name is Celeste and I'm a recovering grudge holder.
I'm gonna write that down because I like that.
Me too. I was like, what is
a recovering grudge holder?
That program. I'm only on 2. I'm only on 2 for the 5th time.
I love it.
I like that one too.
So couple that with someone who wears their, feelers on their sleeves and who takes the big step to reach out to, as a friend would be hard, but to your, biological paternal grandmother, where you're, still trying to get to know, that half of who you are. And, she possibly may hold a key, and she was just like, yeah, nah, I'm not really interested. I'd have been like, okay, me either. Right. And so, but that would have been the hurt talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you were like, but I prayed, and then to be able to call back, it was like, and then how the relationship blossomed as a result. And so I started thinking, because I know for a fact there are some people that I'm no longer connected to, that it probably should have been another conversation. So I was like, I'm not doing that. So going back to, so if y'all listening, call me. I was wrong. You was too. But anyway, so and going to like miracle signs and wonders. So how could somebody like myself like tap into who don't believe in miracles, so they don't know how to look for the signs, so they can't enjoy something so wondrous as this opportunity to get to know and love your grandmother the way you did, because of the sign you saw, the miracle you saw, to kind of go back after being shut down.
That's a good one.
Thank you, Meek. Thank you for that. So for those that have not read the book, you'll read the book about how I didn't know my grandmother, my Jewish grandmother. I did not grow up with her, and God allowed me to move into my very first apartment, and my grandmother also lived, and my estranged grandmother also lived in that same apartment. So when you talk about miracles, signs, and then wonders, so miracles is the name that God gave me for the hair salon. Mm-hmm. Signs is what he has shown me throughout my life, even from a kid. Mm-hmm. You know how the older people say, she been here before, that kid been here before? My mother would say that about me all the time. You've been here before, because I would just pay attention. Then she would also tell me that mouth gonna get you in trouble, because if I heard it or if I saw it, I asked a question about it. Yeah. And I wasn't always able to get the answers to my questions, but that's the signs. Mm-hmm. And then the wonders are where, like, God literally had them happen. Like, they literally happened before my face, just fell in my lap. Who moves into an apartment complex with their grandmother that they were estranged from their whole life? Yeah. Who does that? Like, you can't plan that. Nope. So opening Miracles Hair Salon at the age of 20 with beauty school, education. I received business and academic classes at Hallahan, but I didn't go to college to get a business degree. Mm-hmm. I had $3,000. I didn't have the money that the product company said I needed to open a business. So when it actually happened, that was a miracle. Mm-hmm. At the age of 20, I didn't tell my mom until I actually got the keys, because I wanted her to be so proud of me and see that she had instilled something in me. And then I was so grateful to God that I was able to open the salon before, she passed. But to tap into what you were saying, how do you do that? How do you start having a relationship with a person that didn't approve of you because you were Black? Because in Jewish culture, you only dealt with Jewish culture. You only married within the culture, as in a lot of cultures. Right. However, my mom again showed me you love everybody. It doesn't matter what religion, race, color, doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So when that happened and I actually was able to meet my grandmother, I loved her without her even knowing who I was. Wow. When she described herself to me and I described myself to her, I knew that I was a part of her. Mm-hmm. So it was easy for me, and maybe Meek, we could talk offline, but just in general for everybody else, just like love is an action word, it is. So is forgiveness. Mm-hmm. you just do it. And then you walk into it. And I'm not making light of it, that because many things have happened to all of us. And it is some things that are deep rooted, and it is hard to just forget about it, move on. You know, it's already distorted some things, you know, the way you think, the way you behave, just depending on what that thing is. And, you know, that's going even deeper. That's going into, I would have to put on my counseling hat and or my coaching hat. So like I said, if you call me later offline, we could go deeper.
So
but
I always imagine it as differently. You're giving me different words to use, which I appreciate, because I would have never thought miracle but you know, I'm come from the same background as you, right? So I was just like, that's how it is. That's what you do. So I think to answer your question, some of it is getting out of your own way, because it's something in you that's right, that's gonna work things out. But when you stand in the way, you don't even allow it to work it out, because you say, you know, you should have probably had another conversation, but you in your own way, so you ain't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
don't you think that's most of the problem anytime?
Exactly. But to think of it as a miracle is a blessing, because I would think of it as, girl, you know better. You're supposed to be trying. What you feel, that's the God in you. You know you gotta try.
Like when you call customer service and they so terrible, you know what I mean? You just be like, okay, I really need to do better, because I don't know that person.
Yeah. And that person could be having the worst day ever. That person could be thinking about giving up. That person could have been molested, you know, raped. That person could have been, and we don't do that.
Getting out your own way.
Absolutely. We tend to put what we're hurting from on them, instead of saying, you know what, they probably having a bad day today. So what I'm gonna do is show kindness. I'm gonna show, you know, I'm gonna let my light shine. You know, we sing it, we quote it, you know, but we don't do it. Like forgiveness. Oh, I forgave you, but I ain't forget. Okay, well, everything that you ever did or remembered, learned in your life is in the back of your brain.
Everything is,
so you're not going to forget. You know,
it's not personal. It's not always personal.
Oh, well, I like how.
Excellent.
You ain't got.
I like how.
What you say?
You had to tell all my business. I didn't think.
No, but you know, I know, because I'm you. You know, we're all you, but at different stages.
That's right.
And I could identify with Tracy, because I do try again. I get my attitude, but then I go, the God in me, my mama's stuff go, now you know better. And then I get real cocky with it. I might do some things like, girl, please, I'm bigger than this. They the one got the issue, not me.
Yeah.
How your pastor, or your I think it was your pastor in the book, he said for you to just pray about it and forget it, when at first she didn't want to receive you, and then I'm like, just forget you. How am I going to forget that? And then it just, you let it go, and then it came about.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think a lot of people will learn a lot of things from this episode. Let it go. I'm gonna say I do have a
let it go. Yeah, forgiveness is key.
Yeah, I'm just telling you, it's everything, and it's for your own self, because you just can't. I do say this. I do have a brother-in-law. I don't care. I have, you know, talked to God about it, and I just can't do him. You know what I mean? Some people, you know, he just, you know, some people just, you know, I'm a fraternal grudger, whatever that is.
Recovering.
A recovering grudge.
I'm a fraternal grudger, because I'm gonna tell you, like when it come down to him, he some stuff I just, you know, I just feel like I better step over here, because either the law won't get involved or anything ain't gonna go right, because it's just too much for me. But another thing, where in chapter 10 always it was big. It's for to find out who you were, who I am. You know what I mean? That self-discovering chapter. And the reason why I want you to just to tell us a little bit about the self-discovering chapter, because Tracy, when the people look at you, they look at you, and just like I look at you, she's so pretty, she's so intelligent, she got everything going. How could this even be where you have to find out who you are? You know what I mean? How could this possibly be? Because looking from the inside, I mean the outside in, you know, it's like, how could she even have gone through this challenge in her life? You know what I mean? She looks like she has never had one day of heartache or have one day of affliction, which we know that is not true, because my grandma used to have this saying, and it used to make me think really hard, what is my grandma really talking about? But she used to always say, God ain't gonna be no different to you than to the next person. And I used to say,
no respect
I
of
wanna
person.
be-
No respect of
yeah.
persons.
Remember, I would hear her say that, and I'd be like, well, I know a couple cousins them and things ain't going too far. I don't want God to be treating me like that those people over there. But it was a metaphor, you know what I mean? That basically God is, all knowing and all healing. So not to go on that self-discovery chapter, can you just enlighten us a little bit on that?
Absolutely. So when you almost lose your mind
Mm-hmm.
and you get it back, when
Mm-hmm.
you realize it was just lost for a second, but it wasn't gone. It wasn't totally gone.
Mm-hmm.
So going through, or let me back up before that.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, not my mother never really discussed, I'm Black and your dad's white. That was not a discussion in the house.
Okay.
That was a discussion at school.
Okay.
That was a discussion on the bus. Oh,
Yeah.
you white. Oh, you think you cute. Oh, you know. No, I didn't.
Haters.
I didn't think any of that. But that, that's what
put on
bullying
you.
didn't just start.
Right.
Bullying's been going on,
Mhm.
and not understanding racially, who I was, not understanding that I was mixed because I was called the mutt. My last name is Calhoun, so they would call me Calhoun, like I was a cow. I mean, just the teasing from kids, the bullying, and I would have to say my brother also. They would call him White Boy Troy, and we were just trying to just be regular and fit in North Philly. But the bullying.
They shouldn't have called him White Boy Troy. They should have called him Fine Ass Troy. That's what they about that. How about that one? Say that.
He would love to hear that. So I would just say it started from childhood. Not that I didn't receive love and my mom didn't say, oh, you're beautiful. As a matter of fact, she wouldn't even go there with the you're beautiful thing. She would say, look at your lips. You need to put some Vaseline on them. Your lips are chapped, or go wash your face. You look like you still sleep. Or she would give it to you hardcore. Oh, you think you cute? It's somebody cuter than you. So my mom would give it to me so that when I was out in the street, I wouldn't allow people to say whatever they wanted to say to me.
Absolutely.
And I would be able to fight back. But it took me a little while to understand that I have a voice. Like I can fight back, not physically fight, but I can speak back. So I would like take it inwardly and take it, personal. But moving forward, my mom would always reassure me, they talked about Jesus, they're gonna talk about you. So don't worry about it. And it took a long time to figure that out because I was different. I looked different. I didn't look like my siblings. Only Troy and I look alike, but my other siblings, we don't look alike. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, who am I? Like, why do I look like this? And then in my 20s, and all throughout my teens, just questioning, looking in the mirror and other people saying to me, you're beautiful, you're pretty. And I'm like, well, what are they looking at? Like, I can't even get a straight part in my hair. I was picking out all of my flaws and other people were seeing what they thought. So, and I just want to say this too, Kim, about, and I keep saying Kim, just addressing her, but to the ladies and to the audience, understanding who you are, I think for all of us,
yes,
we have to go through, like, you can't know who you are as at 10, you can't know who you are at 15, you can't, you're developing and you're learning, who you are.
Right.
And even 18, 19 years old, even by 20, I still didn't know who I was. I figured out somehow what I wanted to do, but not actually who I was. But going to a state of falling into a state of depression and finding out that that was hereditary on my father's side. So that was no fault of my own.
Right.
It was a chemical imbalance in my body that was causing me to question everything and not be satisfied and not even accept a compliment. So that mental illness, that chemical imbalance, and then going to the hospital, and they call it depression. And I'm thinking, how could this be depression? I don't have anything to be depressed about. Right. So it wasn't you know, a bad day. It wasn't I broke up with a boyfriend. It wasn't something happened that caused me to go into a depression.
Right.
It was a chemical imbalance in my body. And so once that was identified, that was the journey to learn, who am I? So going back to my roots and finding out that my father was Jewish, that he grew up in Jewish household, Jewish culture. They did not accept African Americans to marry or have children with. Once I start understanding that, I understood better of who I was. My parents loved each other, and they had some babies. They had some mixed babies. So it wasn't my dad's fault. It wasn't my mom's fault. And Tamika, it wasn't my grandma's fault.
No.
That was a God thing, honey. That was a miracle. Right, Celeste? That was a miracle.
I like that. I like that. I like that.
That was a miracle that God brought that together. So that's where my journey began of getting to know who I was. So all that was instilled in me, the God in me, you know, all those things that was instilled in me, that's really when the journey began of who am I? What am I here for? What's my purpose? What's God's plan for my life?
That's incredible. Tamika?
I wanted to just interject and say, loved everything you said, and just add, because it's important to know who you are, but and also just to add, but you gotta also believe it. You know, like remember the saying, act like you know. You know, and so you didn't just, once you knew who you were, you started to believe it. And I think that belief also can release the miracle signs and wonders. When you start believing, that helps you kind of believe,
and accepting,
you know, right?
Also accepting what you can't change. I didn't ask to be here. That was their choice to get together and get me here. And I heard they had a good time with it. So like rejoice in that. They were in love. And it wasn't based on race, you know, color, creed. It wasn't based religion.
Love.
It was just love. Just all of those barriers were cut down. And they both were rebels. So they didn't care what anybody thought.
That's right.
So accepting what you can't change, which you can't change anybody but yourself, of course. And then we're not even good at changing ourselves. We need God's help to do that.
Absolutely.
Even though he gives us free will, right? He gives us free will. But we still, I always say, why did you give us free will? We don't even know what to do with that.
I know.
We still need his help.
Maybe we should have been Stimmy's free will. Just a little bit. Don't give you a whole lot. Just a whole lot. So I think that we really touched on the book in different aspects, because it would not be fair if we did not just say, hey, to everybody out there, y'all need to purchase this book. You know, I will say it again. It was very inspirational, motivating, and it's like a direction for people who may feel lost, may feel like they don't have hope. You know what I mean? Hope is huge. You know what I mean? Hope gets you to the next level. You know what I mean? Because if you don't believe, you don't accept, you don't have no hope, all of that is just BS. You're just going to be swindling in the same thing. But I think the book definitely gives this personal relationship that is relatable. Now, when I think about book 2, I think a book 2 could be a book for children, a children's book. Like, I am so hyped on my sister girls making children books, because guess what? It starts down here. You know what I mean?
It does.
Children in these days and time, Tracy, just keep in the back of your mind, because you know y'all are writing and doing all this stuff. Children today are struggling. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're struggling. They're not like like we were. You know, if we struggle, you know, we had to put on the tough armor, right? When I see children 10 committing suicide and things like that. You know, I think about a children book that told this journey in hint to you, Tracy, that tells this journey where a child could relate to it, because guess what? They can read this and it may have helped them to be able to relate to their classmates. You know what? You was bullied. Look how pretty you are. You know, it's just not okay. Well, when I was bullied because I had braces on my teeth. Now everybody wear braces in the school. You know what I mean?
Right. It's
back
a fashion statement.
Yeah, back in the day, don't turn the radio on near her because it's going to mess up the interception and all. Like, you know, these things.
Right.
Now, you know, the social media, everybody is coming at people and all that.
Yes.
So that's just my little 2 cents. And everybody go around and just give your final thoughts to Tracy, because again, we appreciate you, girl.
My brain is going so many different directions. Like, I don't know whether you never seen me before, so you don't really know. I'm not quiet at all. That's not me. My brain and my pen has been going since you've been talking. And Kim, I don't know whether you remember it. This is like the 3rd or 4th topic that we've had that we said we need to niche it down for the young folks to avoid them from getting to the places that we had to go and travel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some of it is, not a lot of it is, you know, we didn't question the God conversations and the going to church. And they're fighting it and they're not getting grounded like we've been grounded. Like you said, we fall a little short, but we knew we had something grounding us to, you know, to go back to. So my mind is all over the place, but a book would be great for some young folks. But just listening to your story tells me we got a lot of work to do, because the signs that you saw, we have those signs every day and nobody pays attention. No. I'm not sleeping. Okay, figure it out. Take a nap somewhere else. Oh, my stomach is hurting. Take these pills, hide the pain. Like, we for real do this all day, every day. We gotta get better. And we need to work on something collectively, ladies. We need to start reaching back and helping people.
Have a summit or something to get people in, because not let alone, because we didn't even touch on this yet. She's a mentor. You know what I mean? Tracy mentors people. So I think that, you know, maybe we'll just have a discussion offline about that and, you know, start to make building blocks, because, you know, we have to be the fastest of change, because there's so many things that are happening where children are being lost. I'm not even gonna talk about violence, but just being lost to not what is waiting for them. And I say not what is waiting for them, because we were younger, even if our parents were strict, God was all over us, you know what I mean? Because our parents was praying all over us, you know, and I can even tell you, I got like young adults and I have to like tap gently around them, you know what I mean? Because they feel like their beliefs is their beliefs, you know. Long as you know that God is number one. I don't want to hear all the other foo-foo stuff going on. You could just, as long as God is number one, but you gotta be gentle with it, because you know they're not like us. They kick back.
Different
they kick back real quick. So Tamika, your final thoughts.
Yes. Well, first, I just want to say congratulations, Tracy. Thank you for just sharing your heart and your story and opening up. And I just want to end by saying, as a fellow woman of God who has overcome and continues to battle through hard times and depression, who also believes I'm next in line for a miracle.
You better believe it.
I'm right there, honey. And so I appreciate reading all the miracle signs and wonders, because it encouraged me that it's not hocus pocus. It's not just something people say, that it is a real event. And so to read real events from a real person, it has encouraged me. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Keisha?
Well, my takeaway from this book is not only your self-discovery, but your closeness and your discovery with God and your agape love that you have developed through this book. So that was my major takeaway as I was reading this book. And I think it is a wonderful read, and I'm looking forward to the next edition.
The next edition.
We done made her write a second book and she ain't even thinking about a second book.
It's already in the works. So it's confirmation. Okay. It's a sign.
Okay.
That's a sign.
That I'm right on track. Yes, it's a sign.
So in closing, Tracy, what we would like you to do is tell everyone out here listening, where can they, one, buy your book, and two, say they just want to send a message to you. You know what I mean? Get encouraged. You know what I mean? Because I know you do that. Where can they reach you at?
Absolutely. So you can find the book on my website, which is Miracles Sign Wonders. So the S is not on signs. It's miraclesignwonders.com. You can also reach me miraclesignwonders@gmail.com if you want to send me an email. The book can be found on Amazon, Miracles, Signs, and Wonders, or you could Google my name, Tracy Lynn Calhoun. And every time I do that, every now and then, I just Google my name just to see what comes up. And I'm in awe of God that I'm on Amazon. Now, y'all have to help me become an Amazon bestseller, though.
Okay.
And the way that we do that is it depends on how many sales you get in a certain period of time. So I don't know if it's 24 hours or 48 hours. So even if you would be so kind to buy the not the audio, what's the other one called? The Kindle version. The Kindle. It's just, if you want to get the Kindle, if you want to get the hardback or softback, you can. But I think the Kindle version is like $10. And so, if you tell your friends about it and leave a review, that may help me to become a bestseller.
Definitely.
Or if you want to get the book in person, you can come to Miracles Hair Care Salon at 2743 North 47th Street. That's in Philadelphia. And the telephone number is 215-877-5540. And just to let you know, God is in the miracle business. It is a miracle that I am here on this podcast with these beautiful young women today in my right mind.
That's right.
In my right mind is a miracle.
That's right.
So if you're struggling with anything, tap into God. Yes, there are many resources, doctors, therapists, coaches, counselors that can help you. But they should give you a sign of something that God already spoke to you.
Ooh,
so if you spend time with God, He will heal you. He will deliver you. And He is no respecter of persons. What He did for me, He could do for you.
Thank you. Love it. So in closing, again, I'm going to thank you for coming on here, being very transparent, Tracy. I think this was a really good episode. And I can't wait to get the feedback from it. And I thank all my co-hosts, Tamika, Celeste, Keisha, and you a co-host today too, Tracy. So I want to thank everybody for joining us on the porch. Join us every Wednesday when we drop a new episode. This is season 4. We're excited to be here. You can always check us out on our social media page, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So I'm your girl, Kimmy, and joining me tonight is
Celeste,
Isha,
Tamika,
and Tracy.
Oh, we got it on point. So everybody have a wonderful week on purpose, and we'll see you next week.